So in this video, we're going to demonstrate how to use the Arduino motor driver shield. They call it the Rev 3. And we're going to demonstrate how to independently run two 12-volt motors with it. So first, we're going to talk about the pieces and the tools we're going to use in this. We've got a 12-volt battery here we're going to use for our power supply. We've got two 12-volt 20-amp motors. These are 313 RPM motors. Each of them has power leads attached to it that we're going to use to hook to the motor driver card. We've got a little screwdriver is the only tool we're going to use. We've got our motor shield, and we've got an Arduino Uno that we're going to power it all with. And then we've got a tablet here that we're going to be running the Arduino IDE on. I think what we should do now is we're going to go to the screen on the computer, and I'm going to show you a little more detail about the sketch that we're going to be running to do this demonstration today. All right, so here we are in the Arduino IDE. And this is the little sketch that we're going to run to control the two motors that we're going to hook up to the Arduino motor shield. So first, in the interest of full disclosure here, I just want to acknowledge that the guts of this sketch, the part that actually operates the motors, is pretty much a verbatim copy of what's on the Arduino website here. You can see I brought it up. This is the sample that they give for using the Arduino motor shield. So what I've got in my sketch is this, with the ability added in to send in a string to control each motor individually using the code that they have there. So what we're going to do in this sketch, you can send a string in through the serial port in this format here. You can see it goes channel A or B, direction forward or reverse. These three digits here are the duty cycle, so 0 to 100, and for a number of seconds that can go 0 to 99, or 1 to 99, I guess. So that's what this sketch does. So let's go through it real quick now. First, we're going to define some pins here. We've got 3 pins for each channel. We've got a direction pin, a pulse width modulation pin, and a braking pin. You can find the specification for these pins on that same page on the Arduino website where we had the code. Up above here, you can see where it shows which pins all these are. You can see here it also shows an analog pin, and this is to have it bring back the current that's actually being put out for that channel at that time. We're not really using it in this sketch, but if you need that, the voltage is coming back from that channel at any given time, you can get it using these analog pins A0 and A1. Okay, so in our setup method, we're just going to initialize the pins, all for output. We're going to set up our serial port at 115.2, and this is our loop. So of course this is everything that the card is going to be doing while this sketch is running. And you can see all it does is it constantly looks for any input coming in on the serial port. So if serial.available is greater than 0, meaning there's some characters in the serial buffer, then we're going to go ahead and do a read string. We're going to print out to the serial port exactly what came in. This is just for testing to make it easier so that we really understand what's coming through. Then these 6 lines here just parse the string up into 4 variables that are channel, direction, seconds, and PWM value, which that's the duty cycle for the PWM pin. Once we get down to the set motor function, first we're going to pass the 4 arguments out through the serial port. This is just for testing to make sure the string parsed correctly. Then this block of code just decides which of the 2 sets of 3 pins we're going to use depending on which channel we're using. So the channel A pins or the channel B pins. Here we're going to go in and set the direction pin to high or low depending on which direction we want to go. Remember, high is forward and low is false. Then we're going to turn the brake off. If the motor has a brake, we're going to turn it off by setting the brake pin low. Then we're going to do an analog write to set the duty cycle for the PWM pin using the variable passed in. Then we're going to do a delay for the number of seconds that were passed in the seconds argument. Then once we've run for the proper number of seconds, we're going to turn the brake on to stop the motor, and we're going to set the duty cycle back down to 0, and we're done. So that's the lowdown on the sketch we're going to be using in today's demo here. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do is we've got to attach the Arduino motor shield to the Uno. Now this is something, if you haven't done it, you need to be kind of careful with it. You want to make sure that you don't force anything here and that you get the pins started before you really press it in, because these pins are kind of fragile and they'll bend on you. So there we are, we've attached the shield onto the Uno. Now we're going to attach the power leads from the motors into the motor shield. If you look carefully at the motor shield, you can see here the right 4 holes on here where the power leads from the motors go, and you can see a plus minus for each one. There's 2 channels, an A and a B channel. So we're going to poke that in there. Now when you tighten this up, you want to be careful with it. This one's pretty good, it's attached pretty well, but sometimes this block here won't be attached completely to the card and it's a little bit fragile, so you want to hold on to it when you tighten down the lead going into it. So that goes in there. This goes in here. You want to get these fairly tight because they'll pull out pretty easily. Oh, come on now. There we go. All right, so we've got our motors attached now. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the 12-volt power connector on the Arduino Uno to hook our battery into. And we'll go ahead and power on the battery. And now we're going to use the USB cord off of the tablet here and go ahead and power up the Arduino. There we go. There we go. So there it is, all put together. This is all we have to do, and we're pretty much ready to give this a try now. So before we actually start running the motors here and demonstrating how it all really works, I thought we'd talk a little bit about how the motor driver works in general. It uses pulse width modulation to control the amount of power that we're sending out to the motors at any time. I don't want to go into too much depth, but just briefly, the way pulse width modulation works, it creates a wave, a power wave, or a power signal going into the pins that looks something like this. I'm not very good at drawing, but hopefully you'll get the idea here. So it's just flutters the pin's power up and down in a completely on-off kind of pattern. And the amount of power that it puts out is determined by how much of the time is spent on and how much of the time is spent off. And that's called the duty cycle or work duty for the pin, for the pulse width modulation. Like we said in the sketch video, we've got this little string that is the channel, then forward or reverse, 3 digits for the duty cycle we're going to pass in, and 2 digits for the number of seconds that we want the motors to run. We're going to plug this in using the serial monitor. So I'm just going to put that little string in there, and if all's right with the world, when I hit enter, it's going to start running the motor. Look at that. Okay. And here's the testing messages we talked about when we talked about the sketch. So just to do a couple more little things, let's run the other motor. So channel B, and we'll go full power here to 100, and we'll go for 10 seconds now instead of 5. So 100, 10. So this should run this motor over here. And look at that. You can see it jerk when it's all the way up because these are pretty torquey little motors. But there it is, going full speed. for 10 seconds. So that's it. There's not much to it. It's pretty simple, but that's how you can control two 12-volt motors independently with the Arduino Motor Shield Rev 3. If you like this video, please feel free to hit the like button down below. There's also a link where you can get the sketch that we're using down below in the description section. And we'd love for you to come and subscribe to our channel, the We Are Robbie channel. Then if you do that and you like this video, we'll go ahead and send you notifications when we put out more of them. We're planning to do kind of a little series of these how-to videos, just showing kind of basic tasks for building robots. Thanks a lot for watching.